Hey guys, so since I had a request a lot to try to do a video on how to install Windows 2000 in UTM, after several attempts of trying to do that video, unfortunately I had no luck. So since 86Fox had crashed and I had to, because I was mainly using the experimental builds, but I started using the stable builds. So this is a video. Basically, we're going to do a tutorial on how to install Windows 2000 in 86Box. So I'm using the Mac version of 86Box, which is MacBox. And one thing you want to keep in mind when you're using MacBox is you want to use the stable builds. So without further ado, so what you want to do is we're going to add a VM, and we're going to name it Windows 2000 Professional. Whatever. If you're using a different version of Windows 2000, you could just put probably like Windows 2000 Server. So we're going to click Add, and we're going to go into the virtual machine settings. I'm going to drag this window. So for the machine type, we're going to use a slot 1 motherboard, and we're going to use the i440BX gigabyte motherboard, the GA686BX. You want to keep in mind Windows 2000's minimum requirements for the CPU would be a Pentium I or higher, and the clock speed at 133 megahertz, so we're going to use a 133 megahertz Pentium Pro. And I'm going to bump the memory up to 192 megabytes. So for display, we're going to select the S3 Verge VX Diamond Stealth 3000. So for input, we're going to select standard PS2 mouse. For sound card, we're going to select the Sound Blaster AW32. For network, we're going to select the network mode to Slurp, and we're going to adjust we're going to select the Realtek RTL 8029AS, which is compatible with pretty much almost any older version of Windows. So we're going to leave this alone. Storage controllers, we want that to be internal controller. Same deal with the floppy disk controller. And we're going to create a new hard disk. We're going to name it Windows 2000 Professional. And we're going to give it 20 gigabytes, which will be enough for Windows 2000. And of course, we're going to have to format it. So for floppy disk drive, we want one to be the 3.5, 3.5, 1.44 megabyte. And we're going to do away with the secondary 5.25 inch. So we're going to, for CD-ROM drive, we want ATPI. And we're going to fire up the virtual machine. Let me drag this over here. We're going to hit Del to go into the BIOS. And we're going to make some adjustments to the boot sequence. So we want CD-ROM, so we can go to the CD-ROM directly. And we're going to save our settings. And while I'm at it, let me go ahead and insert my Windows 2000 ISO, and I'll be right back. So I got the Windows 2000 ISO insert, so let's go ahead and restart. I thought I was going to freeze up at first because so we should be able to get to this blue screen on the Windows 2000 setup, not the blue screen of death. So just give it a little minute or two so it can load everything. Alright, so now once we get to this portion of setup, so we're going to go ahead and press enter. And what we're going to do is we're going to agree on the license agreement. And we're going to create a partition. We're going to hit enter to create. And this unformatted partition we're going to format with NTFS. And just give it a little minute, and then when it formats, and then it should be able to get to the portion where we copy files for the installation. So it should be copying files, and this is like the end of the first half of setup. Once it's done copying files, then you want to go ahead and restart the virtual machine. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to restart, because it's done copying the files for the first half of setup. So we're going to go ahead and leave the ISO. You can leave the ISO in the virtual machine, insert it. So once you see this starting Windows part of the Windows 2000 boot screen, that's definitely a good sign. That's what we want to see. So this is going to take a little minute or two, but the installation is basically straightforward. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and click next. It's going to take a little minute or two to detect the hardware, and just give it a few minutes. And once it's done detecting everything, then we'll go ahead and I'll see you on the next part. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and enter your keyboard layout and your local and regional settings if you're outside the US. Once you got everything set to your regional and locale setting, get your locale and your regional settings set and your keyboard layout, then you want to go ahead and click next. Go ahead and enter your name and click next. And we'll go ahead and enter the product key. And I'll be right back. Alright, so since we got the product key enter, we can enter a computer name we like. And I'm going to just do Win2KVM 86 box. And admin password is optional. So once you decide if you want to put an admin password and give it a computer name, you can go ahead and click next. You can select your time zone and make sure your date and time is all correct while you're at it, and click next. And it's going to do some it's going to install some networking components and configure all your networking settings. So it's going to you just give it a little minute or two. We're just going to use typical settings and click next. It's not like this computer is going to be in a work group, so we're just going to leave it as work group and just leave it as no, not on network or domain. Click next. So this is going to take a little bit of time. And once we get to the installing components section, it's basically going to be you're almost near the finish line. Once it's done copying files and doing what it's got to do. And once it's So now we're at the very end. So we're definitely getting near the finish line on the second half of setup. Since it's finally done, since we're done with this half of setup, we can go ahead and take out your ISO image and click finish, and it should restart. We should be able to set up a user account once we get through this portion of setup, after getting done with setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click next. And we're going to create a password to our liking if we want. Go ahead and click finish, and you should be able to hear the Windows 2000 startup sound. You want to keep in mind I'm using Windows 2000 RTM. So this is actually Service Pack 4. Thought this was the RTM version. Since everything's detected, so you want to check all your your display settings, make sure everything's all good, and seems like the volume was turned down a bit, so we're going to adjust that. Since the volume's adjusted, so we're going to go ahead and open up, do a little simple little test. Make sure everything's working like it should. We'll do that one more time. Very good. And we'll do a little MIDI test. So therefore you got Windows 2086 box, and hope you guys find this video helpful, and thanks for watching.